look back down at normal people, right? You start to think that because you're abnormal, right, that everybody who is not doing the abnormal thing, right, because sometimes you don't see it. It's like Michael Jordan, right? Michael, that's why certain elite athletes are not good coaches, because a lot of the things they do instinctually, right, most people have to work for. Michael Jordan he couldn't understand why most of his other players on his teams couldn't do what he did. He used to get into fights with him in practice and stuff, because it was like, this shit is so simple to me. But that's because you next level. You feel me? So you're looking at everybody who don't do what you do as somehow not trying hard. You feel me? No, they're maxing out, my nigga. You feel me? You just on another level. And sometimes people like Anton and them who are thrifty with saving, they just see it. You feel me? They always have an edge to make more money than the average. They look down at other people who work in a 9 to 5 and just scraping by, when these people are working 60 hours a week. Yeah, they feel like, yo, I'm doing everything I can, right? And they start to look down at other people, right? And they start to look down at the norm. Like the norm ain't living up. No, I'm doing my best. You just extra, bro. Like you might be next level, and you want everybody. So it could be a frustration thing with a lot of Black conservatives also. You know what I mean?
Right, and you know, there's another Black conservative that I watch sometimes. Actually, his channel is called the Black Conservative or whatever. But he literally was on the show crying, like in tears, about, you know, the person who just got last week. And I couldn't believe it. How he literally was like crying, like for real crying, like his grandmama passed or something. But you know, some of these Black conservatives sometimes, it makes you think about where do you draw the line where you're trying to inspire or offer some correction to our people versus just tearing them down and being totally on the other side.
Right.
So now you're not uplifting or trying to help. You're literally almost got your foot on the neck like the oppressor could or would, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. You said he was on there crying?
He was crying. I'm gonna put the video on the thing.
He was definitely emotional, but I think a lot of times
he was crying.
Yeah, he was definitely crying. It's no. I'm not debating on that one, but I'm just saying a lot of times too. You know, I watched some of it, and unless you watch Anton Daniels, you don't really know this. He is literally one of them people that's content over everything. So he don't really give a damn. He's a click guy. Like he'll sell the race down for some content, no question. So some of that is he's cool with him. I saw David Harris talking about Charlie Kirk. That's the one that I just can't stand. We doing the Black conservatives part. But then this weekend, I don't know if y'all saw, or you, Sister Saf, I don't know if you watch football, but did you see the hubbub in sports about the NFL and college football wanted their teams to have moments of silences. They wanted it to be unified across the NFL and college, and it shows how crazy that the United States is split, because literally half the teams did it and half the teams didn't, and half the college teams did it and half the college teams did it. They're like, why are we even doing this? So it also shows you that, like, you know, the United States really is, we might be about 50-50, just, you know, black, white, or otherwise, just on completely opposite pages.
You know, Brance, I was just looking at some stats last week, and they were saying how, you know, if you take, they said that 50% or nearly 50% of Republicans, what I call regular Republicans, are MAGA. And they said that 50% or nearly 50% of normal Democrats are either liberal or extreme left.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that is
extreme left.
something. So we have a divide, you know, between the parties, but then they also have there's also a divide within both of the parties.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And this happened before. Me and Chef talked about this before. You know, all you got to do is look up. It's always kind of been like that. You go back to Nixon's Southern strategy, but then to be even more political, there was a time where the Democrats, it was the Dixiecrats. So there was a time when there was just an element in the party that these were the ones that were completely against civil rights, completely against anything that had anything to do with civil rights. And then those people became Republicans. And then, so that's why when people say the Democratic Party is the reason for the KKK, not necessarily. It was a sect within the Democratic Party that was more KKK leaning. But yeah, you're not wrong when you say that. You're not wrong. You definitely have a divide. That's why I have such a problem when my brother Chef a few months ago, just constantly peppered me with, I just can't believe the brass voted for Donald Trump, even though I know he understands the difference, but I understand what he's saying because I think he's somewhat sane. So with him, my thought is always, I can understand how somebody just can't rationalize the thought, especially if you think you know a person in that way. I'll end my point.
Yeah, my husband, I have the same conversation with my husband because he doesn't understand the difference between MAGA and Republican. And so, you know, I am a registered Republican, and my new nickname is MAGA. And I'm like, I'm not MAGA. There is a difference. A very people don't understand the difference.
What part of the conservative party wouldn't be MAGA? Like what about, like, as far as the policy, not the rhetoric, right? Fine, like any mom or dad wouldn't appreciate Donald Trump's or MAGA's or Royper's rhetoric, right? But what about the policies? That is the policies that Republicans have brought forth in the past 20 years. Let's go 20 years. Like, what are the policies that they have brought that's been beneficial to yourself or even Black people as a whole? Because I hear a lot of, well, you can't put Republicans with the MAGA, but the MAGA, for y'all information, I don't think y'all may not have figured this out, but MAGA has taken over. There is no longer a Republican Party anymore, right? MAGA has taken that over. Now you can go. The problem is that what y'all don't realize is you can go further right than MAGA, right? So then you're getting into the Groyper neo-Nazi type realm, right? But I'm sure y'all not a part of that. But y'all in the more, because there's no left of MAGA, right? So like, and then if you go right of MAGA, you're into the neo-Nazi realm, right? So then you're basically MAGA. So what I'm saying is, if we're not MAGA, right? Even if I voted Republican, right? And I'm saying I'm not MAGA, what am I representing?
I just supported them, but I just supported MAGA. Right.
Beneficial to anybody as an American, especially the middle class. Go ahead.
I don't think MAGA is Republican. I think MAGA is more of what you talk about, like a populist style. If I believe in limited government, and this is my personal stuff.
You can do that as a Democrat, though.
Nah, but I don't agree. I know you. Not necessarily.
What?
Not the way. Not necessarily. That's just.
You don't have to be liberal.
I'm not.
You don't have to be liberal.
Hold on. Let's do this. I'm gonna keep the Mujasi Firepit rules for myself today. Y'all can attack the idea of what I'm saying. Don't attack me. I'm not about to get into a Republican versus whatever the hell y'all are. My point is, I don't agree with Donald Trump. I think when we keep what we're calling MAGA at this point, you are agreeing with Donald Trump, and it's more of a populist kind of nationalist kind of thing, like Corey was talking about in the what's the name. Now, does it overlap? I agree with Corey and like some of the immigration policies, the deregulation, a lot of the rhetoric and stuff. But I will stick to my what's the name? But when you say I can't be a Republican without being MAGA, you can be a Christian without being Pentecostal. You can be a Democrat and not be Bernie Sanders. So when y'all try to put a label on the conservative party just because Donald Trump, I'm assuming, is president right now, that's what it sounds like to me that y'all are doing. I don't know if y'all doing that on purpose.
I think that's a false equivocation because Bernie Sanders has not infiltrated the Democratic Party.
But there are Democrats that align with. But there are Democrats that align with Bernie Sanders.
People like Bernie Sanders and Zoran Mamdani and all of those social democratic type people, they call them the far left and they call them wild and crazy.
But they're not.
You know what I'm saying? But so they denounce those people, right? They don't. The Republicans denounce the groypers. They don't denounce the MAGA because the MAGA is the main part.
I just did.
You did. I haven't. You're one of.
How do you denounce MAGA when you vote for Trump?
No, I denounce. Because you can. Because in a perfect world, if there were 13 people you could vote for, that would make sense. But if you can only vote for one or the other, and I vehemently disagree with one side and somewhat agree with the other side and not know, I'll go for that more than anything else. We've had this conversation.
We've had this conversation for you. I'll never attack Brass on his vote. I did it before and I apologize. I'll never attack Brass on his vote. He has the right to vote who he voted for. But my thing is that as somebody who proclaimed themselves to Republican, Trump never ran on Republican values. Trump ran on MAGA values. Right? Trump, I cannot hear a Republican in this room can say to me like, did Trump actually run on any Republicans of the past value? He didn't. He didn't. You can look at historically from Reagan down and compare what he ran on. He ran on everything he ran on was primarily MAGA. So if you voted for Trump by 1+1, you voted for MAGA values. You might not be MAGA, but you voted for Trump.
That's not necessarily 100% true, because when you're thinking about Trump, okay, if Trump is MAGA or extreme nationalists,
no, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. That depends on all right. Answer the primary question. No, answer the primary question first. Answer the primary question before you continue. Did Trump run on MAGA values?
He's the norm. Did
Trump run on MAGA values? That's a question. Was Trump values Republican values or MAGA values? Answer that question.
I would argue that some of his values that are MAGA also are Republican.
Some are most. Don't give a run.
Let me finish what I was going to say.
Let's not make it a combative thing, though. We could talk.
Yeah, so what I was going to say is, if you have a choice between MAGA, if you're a regular Republican and you have a choice between Trump and any sort of Democrat that I've seen thinking about running, MAGA is more closely aligned with what you see as a Republican. I would think that's how most Republicans look at it.
Well, then that's why you got to go back and read the Alien Self-Disorder.
That's not true.
No.
You realize what many persons have done. What many persons have done is that they're fragmented their vote. They're Republicans. I don't understand, because I come from a country where you are diehard. What do you mean that You stand on your ground and you die on your ground, and people can kill you for your political belief. So I am a PMP from birth, and I'm a PMP no matter what. No matter what.
PMP, is that the workers?
No, let me finish speaking. Let me finish. People have put gun to my head. And I'm a PMP always.
Stupid.
For labor rights, labor rights are labor rights.
No, what she's saying is what is PMP?
I was asking you.
She doesn't know what that means.
It's a political party.
Yeah.
It's a centrist.
My husband is Jamaican, and he's always talking about, I think, the workers or something. Is that what that is? The Workers' Party or something?
No, you have several parties. The Workers' Party was Indian, I think, but the primary two parties in Jamaica are the Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party.
Yeah.
Right? And they have different political views.
So,
like the last election.
Which one of them was in the government yard in Trenchtown?
Trenchtown is primarily PMP.
Okay.
And beside Trenchtown, Tivoli Gardens is
Wasn't that
Labour.
a song or something?
Yeah, that's Bob Marley.
Yeah, I was wondering why you said that. I'm like, that sounds like a song.
I remember when we used to sing
there you go.
in the government yard in
Trenchtown. Yeah.
The government yard basically means in the projects.
I just saw the movie the other day.
Project housing. That the government provide housing for people.
No woman, no cry.
Hey, did y'all
No
see
woman, no cry.
that movie?
No, I ain't watched that shit.
Hey, that movie was pretty good.
Don't watch this garbage.
Okay, then it was terrible. Don't listen to nothing I'm saying.
I thought it was pretty. I thought it was alright.
But hey, hold on. Before we go into
historically incorrect.
Yeah, but before y'all try to burn me and Sister Safa at the stake, let's this is the after party to the Alien Self show. So just try to, once we get away from this, try to go back into, because people watching this will have seen the class and then seen this show. So
that don't have nothing to do with what we were talking about.
Right.
A MAGA and a Republican line up beautiful with that show. Especially something that said in that show.
So
no,
what in that show?
What
in that show? Let them talk. What in that show? Go ahead. What in that show?
When Chef made reference to the slave being a lunatic if he does not conform with his master, if he's not comfortable with his master. Because this man,
are you saying that a black person who is on the Democratic plantation, are you saying that
yes, that they would be insane and out of their mind? Yes, and to be more specific, malfunctioning.
Are you saying
at a biological,
you're saying that the black Republican is a slave, but the black Democrat is not? Is that what you're saying?
I did not say that.
What are you saying?
What are you saying? I understand how you're reasoning, but let me teach you how to reason. Because it's exactly what I'm saying. I made reference to one particular party. If you want to involve the next party, you can say, but that is true also for the Democrats. I did not say the Democrats. I said the Republicans. Right? No, what I'm saying. No, what I'm saying, you can make that point. I didn't make that point. Right?
No, but
I didn't make that point.
Did you just say that you could also say that about the Democrats?
I said if you were arguing the point, you could say that.
So why do you think that a black person who just happens to be Republican is considered a slave? Why do you think that?
I did not say that they're considered a slave. I said just like the slave who does not believe what his master doing is absolutely right. That is what I'm seeing with the Republicans. I did not call him a slave. I draw an analogy to a situation that was discussed earlier.
Well, I apologize for that. Now, how would you consider, or how would you classify a black Democrat?
No, I'm not speaking about black Democrats, no.
Well, I'm asking the question now. I'm asking the question for anybody that want to answer.
Because what you're doing is leading me away from my original point, and I'm not speaking about that now. So I'm not going to even answer that question based on the fact that it detracts from what I'm speaking of.
Okay.
You understand why I answered it that way? I'm being nice. So because I'm keeping it in line with what I'm reading with. You're trying to segue me into another point that has nothing to do with
I was trying to say.
Oh, damn! So I caught you.
Hey, sister,
why not let her? I mean, why not let her do it?
No, because that is not how.
He just going through a methodology to test your rationale.
No.
But he feels like it takes away from his point. I completely understand what Steve is saying. It's going to take away. His next point shouldn't have anything to do. I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying respect. The same way y'all can respect him bringing up the original point, you can also respect that he don't want to give no ground on his original point. He want to stay right there. Just leave it there. And that's fine.
Listen,
you could do
it. Is it possible to answer that question and not give ground on your original point?
I need Mujasi to teach people how to critical think when they're having a conversation. I know to cut our segue. That's what happening in this community, you know. As soon as we're on a pathway, people come in and trying to segue into other things, detracting from the original part that we have, without blocking that part completely. Block my part completely first. I said, no, that is not true, because we as Republicans are a diverse piece of people. We do not cry for Charlie Kirk, a man who obviously says he hates black people. We do not do that. Bring that up to block my argument, but do not try to segue my argument with what about the Democrats. We weren't talking about the Democrats. Now I've lost my whole train of thought, and I'm going to sit down. Have the floor.
Mr. Stupid, I'm sorry.
You made a generalized statement, bro. I thought you was against generalized.
But I did want to know, because I think it's a fair question to ask for everyone on the panel. If the Black Republican be seen in that light, how would you classify the Black Democrat? That's for anybody on the panel.
I answer the question. Black Democrats, to me, it's just as problematic on both sides, because when you look at a 90% vote for a party, I know that I could ask those same people, probably more than half of them.
And y'all just like, well, fuck what Stu B saying. We're gonna go on and talk about the Democrats.
No. Stu P.
I was listening on your thought there. You're trying to segue the conversation.
Hold on, Stu P. Let me be clear. First off, don't nobody the same way, because that's hypocritical. It's cool if you don't fucking talk about it. But can't nobody in here tell me what to talk about. I can't tell y'all if you.
No, it's your show. It's your show.
No, it's your show. It's my show. No, Stupides. It's not my show. This ain't one of them my show situations. If he don't want to talk about it, it don't mean that we can't talk about it. Somebody else can. If somebody else wanted to answer the question, they could. I respect the fact that Stupides didn't want to dilute his point. But are we also, so we supposed to log off because Stupides didn't want to talk about it?
No. Establish that this is a new point. That this has nothing to do with
this is a new point. This is a new point.
Right, beautiful. Yeah. So establish now that, listen, instead of discussing why we are crazy Republicans, we are going to find out why they are crazy Democrats.
No, she just asked a question.
That's what she did. She said, no, that's what it is. I'm not going to discuss the crazy. I'm not going to know what I was talking about the crazy Republicans.
I just brought it up so we can compare and contrast.
But that's what you did.
So we can compare and contrast.
No, that's what you did. You said, listen.
I haven't heard a complete thought other than Stupides in a minute.
Y'all can say it's compare and contrast, but to me it sounds like a bunch of whataboutism.
What? Exactly.
The original point was talking about alien self-disorder.
Yeah, we weren't even talking about Republicans.
What about? That's all. You know
no, but y'all
tripping, bro.
The original conversation wasn't since we doing the what about. The original conversation wasn't Republicans and Democrats. We was talking about the alien self-disorder.
And I use the Republicans. I use Black Republicans as an example.
Let's have one mic, Stupid. One mic. So what I'm saying, Corey, do me a favor. Let me have one mic, bro. So what I'm saying is we talked. It went off into Republicans and Trump, and that's fine. Nobody stopped you, but if she wants to talk about something different, allow the woman to speak. And if you don't want to answer her question, allow her. I don't even feel right saying this, but at least allow her to.
Out, but I'm not gonna let you do that, Brad. Like you're not gonna do like he wasn't allowing her to speak.
Bro,
he was asking a specific question. What she was attempting to do was deflect him off of his question, so he nailed her down to it. That's not allowing her to speak, bro. We gotta keep it 100.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep it 100, Corey. But then when we move away from the conversation with her and Stu Pease, he's not allowing her to speak when he don't allow her to ask somebody else the question. That's when he's not allowing her to speak. You can't tell her she can't ask a question. What are we doing? So he didn't control it with her. He just respectfully said, I don't want to answer because it dilutes my point. Now, we didn't put a pin in it. I agree with Stu Pease and say this is a new point. But in this being a new point now, I can't tell her not to ask someone else. And if they want to answer, let them answer. This is a conversation. We're not, I mean, are we trying to win so much that she can't talk?
No, we're not. This is not a win thing. This is not a win thing.
So let her, I mean, I don't even feel right saying let her talk. She can ask a question to whoever she wants. If you don't want to answer, you don't want to answer. If somebody else wants to answer, they most certainly can.
All I was doing, Brass, is keeping with the rules that were established during the earlier show, where there was a level of decorum and professionalism, where it was not sly attacks or sly using a sly thing to divert the conversation to say, I know XYZ, but I'm not going to answer that because I use it to brought up the colonial mindset of when people divert from who they are. Because primarily, although primarily during the time of Abraham Lincoln, we were Republicans. We were not Republicans as party people. We were Republicans in terms of values. What those Republicans of Abraham Lincoln brought to black people. Right. And when the Dixiecrat and the Shift Accord, we realized that those values also shift from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party. Right. We were always in support of a party that, although black people was never the main interest, they had some interest in the success of black people.
Right.
When we were Republicans,
how do we establish who people are?
Let me just say that I apologize for derailing the conversation. But we can definitely get back to
Don't apologize.
No, you didn't do anything wrong. Don't apologize.
Don't apologize. That was a conversation. So we're going on. We're going on.
You shouldn't have to apologize when other people don't. Hold on, Stu. Hold on, Stu. But when you say this, the sneak this and then this, that, and the other, you do understand that the lady, that Sister Safa just told y'all a story about some shit that's going on in her household with her husband, and then motherfuckers in here turned around and called her a goddamn MAGA. So that was a sneak diss too. That's the reason why she got kind of defensive, because she just told you she was going through something with her husband. No matter what she tell him, he's a MAGA Republican, and then y'all turned around and just immediately started telling her the same damn thing. So she's gonna get defensive. I don't know. We gotta have some understanding in these conversations too, now. Yeah, let's not be the world when we do the politics thing and just start attacking each other. We just had a great moment. Just keep it in and around alien self-disorder, because this is the after party. So you believe that we know what you believe. What does somebody else believe? Well, Sister Safa, if you want to finish your point, if you got cut off.
See, I got the spray paint. The real spray paint, how we got on the conversation is, I was talking about how MAGA is not the fringe of the Republican Party. It's actually the populace. There is a fringe of the Republican Party, and that's the neo-Nazi Groyper type motherfucker. But there is no such thing as left of Donald Trump. Y'all gotta cut this shit out. Like, y'all, I don't get it. That was the original point. Not whether not whether somebody had a mental issue or what was going on with her husband at home. That was voluntary information that she gave out that we didn't even acknowledge. Me or Stu Pease. wasn't even talking about that. We went on from that. It was what you brought up. You and her. You, Brad, and her brought up. And why it would spark my question, which sparked Stu P's comment, which sparked another question from Stu P.
Well, we just disagree then, Corey. We disagree. I don't know. I'm not about to. We could talk about this for the next 2 hours, but I don't agree with that statement. But it is what it is. Like, you know,
I'm not
attacking.
Gone are the days where I attack people on the vote. I'm no longer attacking people on the vote because I understand the freedom to vote is the freedom to vote, right? But what I sometimes I understand that I have to approach it from a different angle. When people say to me that Donald Trump is a Republican, and I say no, Donald Trump is a MAGA. And he may have some Republican value because nobody's completely any one thing. Even persons who are Republicans may have some values that they have similarity with Democrats. But the majority of Donald Trump values, his primary core values, are MAGA values.
Okay.
Right?
Well, I don't know why y'all keep reiterating that. But
right. I mean,
we got you.
Would you agree with me on that? I disagree with that. But
no, I don't want to turn this into a political show. Like, we can have that conversation, but there's no world where that conversation don't end up fucked up, though, Stupid. That's what I'm trying to say.
I know it's not a fucked up conversation because hard conversations are always fucked up.
No,
I don't understand. I'm trying to understand. Like, maybe I do understand, and I'm fighting because I don't agree. I don't know, something going on. Like, that's like saying, like, if I vote for Donald Trump, but I'm voting for him because I don't believe in what he said, I don't know how you do that. Like, that's not even, when I have another choice other than the crazy person, right? If I have another choice other than the crazy person, right, then I'm not gonna vote for the crazy person just because they in a party that I claim I'm in, because I know this motherfucker done said everything crazy. Like, he gonna be running the shit. Like, if the other person ain't say nothing crazy, then
that's the alien sense.
Sister,
Mujasi is a dangerous little boy.
Sister Safa, now I'm gonna reverse the apology. I apologize to you. So just y'all can talk about. I guess this is not the after party. We could talk about Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans and all this other shit. But I'm just saying.
Hold on. Nobody has to apologize to me. I got 4 brothers. I know how to get down. But Chef, if more people felt like you and actually showed up at the polls, Orangutan Man wouldn't be in office. So it's unfortunate that it's a lot of people who complain about the man. And I'm not saying you didn't vote. I'm just saying if more people who felt like you actually got up off their hands and went to the polls, maybe Mr. Orangutan wouldn't be in office.
Well,
you would have someone smarter.
Mr. Orangutan would have been in office whether, 90% of Black people voted roughly for Kamala Harris anyway. So he was going to be in office no matter what. She lost every swing state. He was going to be in office.
No, I didn't say just Black people. I said
well, you said like him. Jeff is Black. I'm just talking about Black, because this is believe it or not, we're having a Black conversation. I know you think we're having a voting conversation. We're having a who's Black enough contest. So I'm gonna participate in the who's Black enough contest. So in this particular contest, if all your Black ass did was vote, and I apologize, Mujasi, but if all your Black ass did was go up there and vote and go sit on your motherfucking hands, you did no better than anybody you trying to complain about. If all you do is vote, go home and complain, you're worse than actually somebody who you claim to be. Why did they do this, that, and the other? Because at a bare minimum, if a person lives what they vote and actually commits to the civic duties that you're supposed to do in the political process, then maybe maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation, because no matter who's in office, the job ain't done once you vote, then there's other work to do. But if your work is just to complain about what the other side voted for versus getting in your local community and enacting the changes that you want to see, then it'd be a little different. On the trail, I heard the man say over and over again he wasn't going to enact Project 2025 policies. His tax cuts, his deregulation, and his immigration laws sounded like they made sense to me. His tariffs, while I know they're a tax on the people, it wasn't that he was taxing the world. And then when he got in office and started doing it, I went the other way. When the immigration got a little bit too far, even though I agreed with a strict immigration policy, when that got too far, I went the other way. But I actually went the other way. I went to my local community, started dealing with it. Started making sure that these kids don't get removed from the schools in New Jersey. I started focusing in. So I kept doing the work. But what the problem that I had, or the challenge that I have, is the main people that complain, all they do is vote and leave. Voting is the easiest part of the process. So when you're telling me why I voted for or who I voted for and what work, I still work every day.
Like
towards
that's all
America that I'd like to see.
Nobody's complaining.
No, you're not complaining. No, you're not complaining. No, you aren't complaining. You aren't complaining, Corey. These are previous conversations. This ain't even the conversation for today.
You two, ladies and gentlemen, right, are trying to make it seem like Donald Trump is the fringe, as if he's the far right. But no, he's the right populist.
He's the party.
Well, here's the funny part, Corey. Me and her,
in the Republican Party, there is a far right.
Me and Sister Safa never used the words fringe. We never used the words far right. We never used the words populist. Y'all did. Y'all are trying to, hold on, Corey. Y'all are trying to make an argument that we aren't even making. It's not even a conversation that we're having. Y'all are having a conversation. I never said he wasn't.
I'm with the conversation, bro. I got the same thing. You want me to bring it?
No, I never said he wasn't MAGA, and I never said MAGA wasn't the populist in the Republican Party. So when you keep saying that we're saying that that's not the case, now I'm going to spell it out for you that I don't agree. I don't disagree with you on that point.
No. I understand that. I understand that. Corey, I understand that. But my situation is this. I'm discussing, I draw reference to the alien self. Because how it is not the alien self, when even now, persons who supported the president refer to him as the orange orangutan. It only strengthens my point more that you refer to the person that you supported as the orange orangutan. Therefore, subconsciously, you acknowledge that he is not the one. But although he is not the one, I still supported him with my vote. That's alien.
I was just joking. I was joking, and that's what a lot of his.
It's not a matter of joking. It's a subconscious
people that don't like him say about him.
No, Michael Manley was my prime minister, and under no circumstances I'd refer to him as the communist bastard.
You're not. Well, in this country, we can.
But you can't. The subconscious spoke. It's what your subconscious said. But let me shut up. It's what your subconscious said. Because the subconscious mind
show about psychology stuff. Like, she can make a joke, Stu. She can make a joke. She was joking. How did I see that she was joking? Like, I don't think she bro. The craziest part of it would be, I would assume would be an easier attack, is if we was up here espousing him as if he was this great president in person. Now, after his actions, not his words on the campaign trail. So I don't get that. I don't know. I think that this ain't got nothing to do with the other show. This is just
Maybe you guys will have to edit this part out. But maybe you can get back to your original point about the alien self and just not involve politics.
That is his original point, Sister Safa, that we are exhibiting alien self-disorder by our vote.
Yeah, well.
That's his point. I'm not going to run away from it.
A lot of people,
he has the
a
right
lot of people feel that way. You know, if you're a Republican and you're black, you're a coon or you're whatever.
I feel like it fits the definition also, unfortunately.
Okay. That's
you
fine.
said you feel it that way too?
I don't necessarily like adhere to it being a reality necessarily, but based on the definition that we were talking about, it would technically kind of fit in that.
So what
and
part
if
of
it
it
doesn't
though,
for yourself, it does for the group.
Yeah, that's
so some
fine.
things can be exhibited on the personal level, and some things can be exhibited on the group level. So if the group of black folk voted for Donald Trump, that will be the group exhibiting alien self-disorder. Now, if an individual do it, now it's some leeway in that. But it does fall into this definition where you need to examine it.
The definition of alien self-disorder, see, now I'm starting to think that we're picking and choosing the parts of. Is Mujasi here? He's not here.
Yeah, we do pick and choose.
Yeah, I think y'all are picking the parts of the alien self-disorder that you think fit any black person that voted for Trump.
And Brad, that's the point right there. That's the point right there. Alien self-disorder is a loose thing to where any black person that feels like you're going against their personal or other people's code of living and all of that. That can be a term that's loosely thrown. And that's why I said earlier, if a person wants to classify that as a real disorder, that's dangerous. Because at what lines do you stop? I think somebody brought up MLK. Somebody can say he has alien self-disorder because, you know, based off the perspective they got, because he's talking a message about, you know, to black people under the banner of Christianity, which was, you know what I mean? So it's so many things that you
And Brass checked it though. Brass was able to check that shit.
Yeah, checked it immediately. But here's the
he was able to check it.
But I'm saying the overall point is that, again, the overall point is that using it, any person individually can use it so loosely. All of us can fall under alien disorder.
We can fall under multiple different disorders.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so what you're saying is actually right.
Disorder problematic. That's why
that was the point of the discussion.
It can be used for extreme talking points and propaganda. We're good.
Yeah, but let me get my point. The core definition of alien self-disorder, that's how I know we're using pieces of it. Because the core definition of alien self-disorder is you're rejecting your natural identity as if you're and living as if slavery, racism, and oppression never existed. And I know for a fact I don't fall under that category. And I'm sure, not even knowing Sister Safa, I don't think she falls under that category. Now, there are pieces of it where you talk about the assimilation. Maybe you feel like it's like trying to become white or so in thought or practice. But your vote, I know racism exists. I ain't never rejected my identity. I frame conservative. It says you frame conservatism as survival, not assimilation. Your vote is policy driven, not identity denial. So I agree with Corey right there, though, because a lot of Trump. That's why I can't disagree. There's certain parts of Corey's argument I can't disagree with. I just be outright lying. The MAGA party is the populist party in the Republican Party. And the fringe will be the far right, and then you can go further. I disagree with his point when he says, because it's something I think he's leaving out. There is a fringe, small part of the party, I would assume, or a less powerful part of the party now, that is left of Donald Trump within the Republican Party. And there are people that vehemently disagree with MAGA, but would never, it would be only under extreme circumstances that I would ever vote the other side. And like I told y'all before, I would have considered Kamala if I thought she was different from Biden. I didn't want any more Biden at all. I had no option of that. And it did help in my vote, I land my plane, that Donald Trump was already president before. But I can say if he wasn't president before and I had to vote for him as a new this, that, and the other, I don't know what I would have voted, but I can't say that I would have voted for Donald Trump. I did lean on past history. So,
all right, based on what you just said, I listened to what you just said completely. And this is not about you, none at all, Brass. This is about black people in general. Would you say that MAGA values, which is a populist opinion of the non-Republican Party, is beneficial to black people?
No.
No. right? So based on you saying no to that and realize that the MAGA values is the populist value of the Republican Party, you put yourself in a situation between a rock and a hard place.
Now ask me the other question. There's a second question to that.
No, the second question is
no. Let me help you if it's not. Do I think ask me the same about the Democratic Party?
No, we had three options. We had three options.
No. Ask me this.
No. The reason I'm not asking about the Democratic Party because you could have, just as they do in Congress, you can yes, no, or abstain. So if this
okay, good one.
Right. So therefore, abstinence was a choice.
No,
I'm not saying that you should vote for
me. That's not a choice for me.
No, so therefore, you chose the path of a party who populace decided
I only had two choices.
Yeah, but you chose the path of a populace who decided
you said I had three, though.
Yes, you have three.
Had two. I don't believe in not voting.
But it still exists. Although you may not believe.
Not for me. No, not for me. It doesn't. That's not an option.
But it exists in the highest.
But we're talking about
Congress. But it exists in Congress. But you can't deny that it exists.
No. We're not talking about Congress. We're talking about voting in an election, and that's not an option for me to not vote.
Okay, you see it as not an option to not vote. I understand clearly. That's your belief.
Right.
So according to your belief, I have to choose. And I choose the party that the populace decide that MAGA, who is not in the best interest of my people, I'll still support them. And that is why it's an alien self-disorder.
Okay.
That is why it is. It fundamentally fitted completely what you just said.
The other question.
What was the other question?
Ask me the same
I'm not asking. I'm not speaking of the Democrats.
No, well, you would. Well, okay. Well, no. Real quick. I'm not doing whataboutism.
And afterwards,
I think you'd be interested to know my answer, though.
No, I'm not. I was just because I'm interested to the point that I'm making. That's the point I'm making.
Okay, good.
The point that you're making now is the point you're making.
Okay.
Right, but I was not interested in the Democrat part. I was primarily interested in the Republican part. I'm not asking why you voted for them, but I'm asking why black people would vote for a party who populace is not in favor of black people.
Okay.
And how will we not distinguish that different than the alien self-disorder? Okay. Because you're right. That's all I'm saying. No, if you can make that same argument for the Democrats, that's your style.
No, I don't have an argument. My answer to the question, if you're saying the same question you asked me about the Republican Party doesn't represent black values, my same answer would be no for the Democratic Party too. Both of them. MAGA and the Democratic Party. And I still have
So with that being said, everybody who votes is out of their mind.
See how that works? Now what y'all turning voting
which is
now
which is what I wanted to hear. Yeah, that's why I wanted to hear I wanted to hear you talk to Sister Safa because that's where I knew you were going to end up at.
Yeah.
No, because I know that's where the argument is going to end up, but it's not true.
That was my point when I brought that question.
If you can determine that both parties aren't in the interest of black people, well then, like I said, what can you do? You can't clock in no more.
No, but that
you can't vote Republican, you can't vote Democrat.
Right, logic. They didn't put us in an impossible situation. This is impossible. You feel me?
Well, that's what I was saying. But I mean, if you follow that chain of logic, that would have to be where you end up.
You know what's funny? Chef? The alien self-disorder that y'all describing would be voting at all. It would be voting at all. It would be participating in the political process at all.
And that's not true either.
Yes, it would be.
It's not true.
You would have to agree.
Chef, how would it not be true?
No, logic. Let me explain. No, hold on, Supees. We understood you, but let me explain my point now. Free of whatever. If I don't agree with the Democratic Party, and I don't think that their values align with black people and their interests, and I don't agree with the MAGA Party, and I don't agree to the MAGA part of the populace, the majority of the Republican Party doesn't agree with black people's interests, but you're a person like me that it doesn't believe that abstaining is not an option, and I have to choose one of the two. Then if I believe that neither one of them serve the interest, then the alien self-disorder would be why the fuck would I vote for either one of them? That's that. Neither one of them serve black people. I'm voting against my interests either way. So now what you're saying is, I'm not done. What you're saying is
that makes sense.
If you're participating in the political, now participating in the political process is now, I'm basically fucking using the sanity of my, y'all making the political process oppressive or some kind of white shit. Like it's the white thing to do.
That's what I was saying about
you gonna see a nigga at a checkout. You see, that would be at a checkout and say, you got alien self-disorder, you partaking in capitalism and
right. See, like that would be a middle class American voting for their interest, right? But based on a definition we got, that would be antithetical to the larger group. Right. So voting at all would have to take you out of that, because you can establish that neither party is directly in your benefit.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't do some York shit. Y'all didn't do some York shit. And I'm not even participating. I'm not even participating in that overall.
Like if you're gonna give smoke for
that was a word salad.
To make your point strong, it should be able to stand all.
I'm not even listening to these niggas. That was wild.
Hold on, let Fetty finish. Why y'all just choose to cut them off? Let him finish.
Oh, go ahead, Fetty.
See, it's like y'all be wanting them to leave, bro. Let them finish the thought. Some people, we could treat everybody fair, but we can't treat everybody the same. You cut that nigga off, he just gonna stop talking and miss the point. Go ahead.
No, historically, what happened here now? Historically, what Brass insinuated was that the Democratic Party has never been in the interest of black people, just as the Republican Party. That's
not what I insinuated.
Oh, my apologies. Let me rephrase.
Why did you go down the road with him, Stu? He's leading.
Yeah, like don't tell me.
Listen, they said all of this. Hold on, they said all of this so we can leave them alone. They just want to be left alone. So just leave them alone.
No. See, you doing that?
That's all. It was a word salad. That shit. You shouldn't vote at all, then voting is bad altogether. If you're going to take a position against my position, then that shit. Listen, they just want to be left alone. They in a tough place. They trying to cope. Just leave them alone.
Yeah, I think when y'all do that,
I'm taking the definition literal.
That's kind of weak.
I'm leaving y'all alone. Y'all
are taking the definition literal.
I don't need your fucking mental your goddamn mental diagnosis.
I'm gonna leave y'all alone.
No, you can. That's fine.
And I'm telling Steve B's, just leave the people alone.
No, when you insinuate,
rationale don't stand when people are throwing.
No, it was a word salad.
No, it's not a word salad, Chef. Hold up a second. Follow me for a second.
Nobody should vote there. None of us should vote.
Can you follow me for a second?
That's
crazy.
We're proving that
it's too much.
You're not listening. He's not going to listen to you. You can try.
Can I speak when there's an opportunity? Go ahead, Fetty.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna get on out of here, y'all niggas.
Yeah, see, go ahead.
So if I can establish, right?
He left.
I'm talking to everybody. If I can establish that clocking in empowers the American empire more than it empowers my community, wouldn't that fall under this alien self, right? Because I would be deliberately making decisions that I know is against my people group, right?
Yeah. You can nitpick that particular disorder,
but that's not
so wild narrative. That's what I said earlier. So
right, it's too loose, right? I 100% agree with you that it's too loose. You can damn near put any sort of behavior into that, right? Like that's where it starts to be problematic. I mean, for me, I don't know about nobody else, but since we done lost a little bit of audience or people participating. For me, when I read this and I get through it, the way I summarize it is basically instructions to get as far away from Western ideology as possible, right? And that's in philosophy, that's in politics, that's in social, that's just in general social behavior. He puts so much effort into demonizing white middle class behavior to where, like, where does it what does it leave us on the table to behave like, right? If I'm voting, getting up, going to work every day, paying my taxes, like is that, what is that a description of? That would be a description of a typical American. You know what I'm saying? So like in order for me to be rebellious against that, I mean, do I remove those things because I'm trying to not participate in society? Am I trying to, you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't leave you room to just be alive almost.
Didn't a couple of days ago we all agreed that being worldly is a benefit? And
yes, we did.
Oh, no, unless you were
Yo.
No question.
Unless funny you were Republican.
No, because see, the other piece to that logic is now I got to deal with what you think is fucking white. You think I don't know that? You think I don't know that some people think voting is white? Hold on. You know how many times I've heard in political spaces black people telling me, "Why you doing that shit, bro? They ain't serving none of us. Just sit it out. Your vote, your abstaining vote is your protest." I've heard that shit 1 billion times, bro. And that's it's the most disempowering shit, and people actually believe that. So when I say that, hold on, but when I say that with the alien self-disorder, I'm gonna go back to when we were talking about Naeem Akbar in the first place. The challenge you always gonna have with the alien self-disorder is what is white, right? What is white to other people? And then on top of that, like what is white to black people? Well, like, so your thing that you think is white, if I do it, then I'm exhibiting alien self-disorder because you think voting is white. That's ignorant as hell. That don't even make sense.
Because you don't talk.
How do you establish a person's natural disposition? Right? Like how do you establish that they're acting out of their natural self before establishing who that natural self is?
Well, he's telling you that he's basing it off Western psychological ideology. He says that based off of their ideal of mental disorder, our whole group could be deemed as mentally disabled or mentally ill. That's what he said. He's basing it now. So to oppose that, you step outside of Western psychological ideology and start looking at some of these things. And I don't think no one went there thinking they had any of these disorders, or after they read it and they say, okay, I might have a touch of that. Oh, hell, you know what? I may know something like that.
To a touch of that.
And yeah, you know, or be in denial, but like, no, don't none of that sound like me or anybody I ever knew of. So he's starting it off by framing this is anti-Western psychological ideology. You've been deemed highly potential to have mental disorder based on who you are already. Again, you've been pre-classified. So you can try to dance out of it. You can try to out-income your way out of it. Like he says, you can self-destruct your way out of it. You can develop organic disorders to try, you know, that happens outside of your control. Like find out, okay, that was a result of trauma and stress. So yeah, all of that's why I think he calls them disorders. How we try to either cope with Western ideology or get away from it. But at the same time, you could be deemed mentally ill and possibly were and didn't even know it. Yeah. Or, you know, a lot of your group is. So you know, if we take it out of his framing, you know, then that gets rid of his, you know, makes his points more difficult. But if he frames it, this is anti-Western ideology.
I got a question for you.
I think it just gives. Go ahead, bro.
I got a question for you, right? And actually, Stu P's a little bit too. Okay. So when we do that, no, this ain't like a framing thing. It's kind of more about the class than anything.
No, I don't know if Stu P's. I was like, I heard all the.
No. Because one thing I learned about Stu P's is I can't attack him for his views. Because the first time we met, we should just be at war, period. So
yeah,
if me and him ain't at war right now, then it's gonna take a lot for me to think Stu P's is stupid all of a sudden. So now when he talks about how do we use alien self-disorder? Like, let's answer that question.
Hold on.
All of us have but this is more of a personal thing. some of us have different ideals, like a Hebrew Israelite or an FBA or an ADOS. They have different ideals on what is blackness, what is whiteness, this, that, and the other. So since there's no universal whiteness or universal blackness or what being Western is or what, you know what I'm saying? There's no universal definition that's all agreed upon. There's a danger in his alien self-disorder too. Because if the overwhelming populace of our, let's say, I'm gonna use voting. If the overwhelming populace of Black people think voting is somehow Western mentality, but don't, or voting Republican is somehow Western mentality, right? Or alien self-disorder, we'll be in a never-ending fight, because then you got the people that think voting is Western disorder because we didn't create this. And then you got the other people that think welfare and different policies from the left aren't serving Black people. So my question is, I say all of that to say this. My question is, at what point, how could we use what he's saying as helpful?
The first thing that you would need. The first thing that you would need.
Let's get it first. Then jump in there, Logic.
Okay. No, me and Brass, if I apologize a million times, I'll apologize a million more. My first impression of Brass was one that he was a mean Negro. But during
please, can you help me out so I don't forget my point?
Go ahead first.
Answer the question. No, I just want you to answer the question.
No, that's part to answer the question. The part to answer the question is that when it comes to this disorder, it is more group dynamics than individual dynamic when we're addressing the issue. That's why I started, when I first met Brass, I considered him a mean Negro. Until I get to know him, I realized that this dude is a wee Negro. And I've said it a million times, I cannot understand, with the knowledge that he has, the critical thinking that he has, I consider him my most democratic friend, who is a Republican. Because he does not think like the average Republican. And when he goes into rooms and speak to other Republicans, I can say this without a doubt, that sometimes he has to be defending what he's saying, because most of his views do not align. Now, one of the things that Brass don't like is that Brass knows that sometimes he might not be right in everything, but he'll come around and say, listen, I'm not right in that, but I'm going to try to fix it my way. His belief that the system had safeguards in place to protect it from total anarchy. And then he realized that, listen, I have to be a part of that system to protect. I have to be part of it to protect what I hold dear. No, was it in Black people's best interest? Because even what he just mentioned about the welfare system was created by Republicans for white farmers. It was not created to protect Black people. It was not created in the interest of Black people. When you look at farmers now today and they complain about the tariffs, they don't have a problem, because the last time under Trump, they made more money out of bailouts than they actually made from farming. That's why they voted for him again, because they knew that he's going to bail them out again. The average farmer you see in America is not a poor farmer. The average white farmer is a millionaire. The equipment that he used to farm costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not $1 million a piece. So we understand why they voted for Trump. They voted for Trump because bailout is in their best interest. And their bailouts are not called welfare, it's called subsidies. But we understand what it is, so we know why they voted for him. They're not suffering from any kind of disorder. Even though it might appear that they're suffering, they know that it's only for a time. He's coming to bail them out, and they'll be richer than they were before. When we talk about the disorder, we look about the fundamental group dynamics. Is my group on a whole better under this system that this man is promoted, or better under the other system. And anybody who would say that it is better on the Republican system is being disingenuous. And that is all I'm saying. Brass thought that his system would lift all boats because the economic plan looked like all boats will float under this new economic plan. We're diverted from what we had in the past, that we were not economically benefiting as we should under that system, under the other system, and this system appears to be better. Because Brass is a numbers guy. That's why I don't fault Brass for his vote. And Brass will tell you that's why he voted the way he voted. But now that he realized that this is bullshit, he's not questioning his vote because he's a man and he's standing up on his decision. That's why I'm not battering, I'm not saying anything. But group, when we look at the group in particular, is the group better under MAGA? And nobody can say yes. Nobody in their right mind can say yes. That's my answer to the question. If you want to beat me up, go ahead. Brass, I respect you. And you know that I respect you.
And you know that I respect you.
I forgot the question.
No, but how?
Go ahead. It's his turn. It's his turn.
No, I thought the question was about alien. What'd you say, Brass? About
the alien self-disorder.
How are we supposed to?
If there's no one whiteness, no one blackness, and certain people think some things is like, there are people that believe voting is crazy, right? And there are people that think, just weird parts of being, because I was trying to follow what Logic was saying, right, when we're doing the class. And the feeling I got from what Logic was saying is that the feeling that I got from Logic was, it almost seems like alien self-disorder is just participating in, just living. Like being alive in the United States of America is almost like, if you don't set some parameters around what's black, what's white, what's this, what's that, then it's too broad of a paint stroke. So my question is, under those circumstances, when there are people, maybe Chef don't believe it, that's probably why that sounded so crazy to him, but there are people in the world that'll tell you that participating in a political system that don't serve you is anti-Negro, it's anti-Black. Why are you voting in that system? But what do you do?
That's what Cubans say.
Yeah,
but
no,
we all Cuban. Rejected that from Cuban.
But I don't live in the conscious community. You don't either.
I'm talking about Cuban crisis. He being
right. Oh, okay. Yeah. But
that was his sentiment.
Black people
and we all told him he was crazy for that. So to try to use that now, when I know that we all disagree with that,
but whether we disagree or not, that he's no.
But if the overall, all is not the correct term.
Okay.
No, I'm saying everybody in here who heard him say it.
Okay, everybody in here, but again, that's not all people. So
especially
all of us.
Brass, the one who was making the argument.
But when we say all in these small spaces, I know we got a tendency to expand that to thinking that's overall, and that may not be the case because you have a lot of people.
I meant Brass.
Yeah, okay. But a lot of Black people or anybody on the far left and far right don't have a problem with trying to tear the system. And I ain't going to do the Trump voting thing and all that. I didn't hear enough about the conversation. But there's extreme on both ends that would rather see the system torn down and try to tear it down, whether inside the system or outside the system. So a lot, that ain't even good. And it started with people that don't look like us who went against the system. The country started going against the system. That's how the United States was formed. Or, going against the system, the hierarchy out of Europe and all that bullshit. So that's just common for this country. Now for it to be something like, oh, no, you can't buck the system, that's a complete turn. It's actually written in the Constitution that you can try to remove your government if it's not working in the best interest of the people. But the narrative has changed that, one, you can't do it. Two, you shouldn't do it. So that's just the answer to that. But back to his alien self, I'll just read what he says. A lot of that has to do with the definition of normality, and abnormality is one of the most powerful indications of community power. So if a group of people can be deemed abnormal by a more powerful group, it has implications across, historical, social, and political status of those people. It can affect every aspect of those people's life as a group. Now, again, if you're talking me, then you may be fine. Or if you're talking we, it may not be the case. And two, it doesn't negate the fact that your ass can be classified with or without your permission or your consent. And you could be treated as such, or more likely to. What's the word? Suspect. That you know, just because you try to remove yourself from a situation and look at it a different way, if you can't change what's looking at you, and you can't change how they put the situation out, it may be a moot point. So you may be forced to act accordingly and think, oh, I'm just doing this because this is the right thing. Well, what happens if you don't act accordingly? Why is that abnormal that you don't want to do this way, or I shouldn't have to do that? Or I think that's bullshit. If that's considered abnormal against the system, how could you change the system? You want to change you before you change the whole system. So maybe you people can't say you complicit. You ain't fighting it. You just complying. Why are you complying? It's the right thing to do. Somebody could say you full of shit. You scared. You can't beat the system anyway. But that don't mean I ain't going to fight. So there's in the context and time frame he's using, in the group of people he's talking about, I think some of the points are clear that he's making. I ain't saying right or wrong, but clear. He's talking about African Americans in Western culture and society. Now, we say it's ours now because we're immersed in it. But when we first got here, was it ours? It was forced. Every aspect of it was forced, and we were kept in line. So, by his perspective, I just read what I thought about it. It gives people power, you know, across a few different ideas: social, political, healthcare, legal, law enforcement. If people are deemed, you know, abnormal. So, I don't know if that answers your question, but
so can you hear me? Yeah. So the first thing that you would need to make it practical is you would need some agreed upon things as far as how we should be behaving, right? Or what we agree upon as far as what's behavior influenced by Western society or whatnot, right? So like that would be just an expansion of what Brass was saying earlier about you need some clear definitions on what is black and what is white. Like, how do you define what white behavior is in America?
No, they
right?
did. They did. You don't have to do that. They did. I think you're doing something extra. They defined it.
I'm doing something extra.
They defined it. That's what I'm saying. They defined
the first part. If you go up to the top and read the first part, it tells you the democratic method that they use to talk about
democratic sanity.
Yeah,
democratic sanity.
It was on middle class white Americans. So it wasn't on you.
No, so what he's doing is he's taking the opposing position, right? He's saying that we can't use that as our
you can
framework for normal. No, he's saying that we can't use their framework for normal. That's what he's saying.
Right. But if you find a problem with that, you can use whatever you want to use. If you think that's going to be beneficial to you, if you don't think that there's a difference in middle class white America and you, then
bro, I didn't say that there's no difference. I'm saying that you would have to map out this difference, right? And then we would have to agree upon, hey, these are the characteristics that we deem ours, and these are the characteristics that we deem theirs. We deem theirs.
Okay,
right?
so he was going back to the 60s. Now look at his references, right? Now you go back to his references, it was talking about the 60s. And if you're talking about the 60s, they was probably doing the work in the 50s. And that was during Jim Crow. So if middle-class white America was cool with Jim Crow, then there was racism involved in that. And if they were cool with you being at the opposite end of it, right, then that was beneficial to them, but it's not beneficial to you. You see what I'm saying?
Let me get it out.
Go ahead.
So I'm saying that I'm jumping the gun a little bit here, right? So while he's trying to establish what black and white behavior is, he also eventually he brings us to this African archetype of behavior.
That's not in this. That's not in this.
Yeah,
it's not in it, but it kind of some of it is, right? When he talks about the pimp, when he talks about the pimp, he says that the pimp was able to retain his African male dominance, is what it says, right? So he is sort of alluding to there is a proper way of behaving. He's the first indication he gives you is African male dominance. It's in the article.
Yeah, but I don't think he was talking about African in the sense that you're talking about it. I think he was. I don't think he was espousing as that's what we should be doing per se.
Hold on, we're gonna find it.
So even though it's not in this article, knowing that he will eventually get to, we need to incorporate more of these African archetypes, African culture and spirituality.
You want to argue against the African when
I don't think that's what
he clearly is showing.
What
the problem is aligning yourself with the alien.
Right. You like here what I'm trying to. Here what I'm trying to connect it to.
One mic.
Yeah, here what I'm trying to connect it to, right? Because I remember I started off saying that you would have to have some agreed upon set of behaviors that you deem this is like your natural position, right? You would need that. So you would have to have some sort of a backdrop to compare this abnormal behavior to. Am I jumping the gun there?
Yeah.
Whose side are you saying? On their side or the black side? Whose side are you talking about?
I'm talking about in order for Na'im Akbar to identify these particular behaviors as abnormal, right? You would need some sort of a baseline for your normal behavior, right? In order for you to deem this abnormal, so how do you begin to tell me what the normal is? How do you identify that?
Okay, here you go. Just read the first sentence and we'll pick alien disorder. Represents a group of individuals. Hold on. Just read what he said. Let's stop surmising and jump into other topics. Stay with what the man said. He believes that alien self-disorder represents a group of individuals who behave contrary to their nature and to their survival. So obviously the baseline is what? Your nature and survival.
Right.
So do we need to now hold on. Do we need to determine not what living is, but what surviving is? What people need to survive? Do we really need to sit down and have that long ass discussion? Like he need to really paint that picture.
Well, I would follow that up with a question like, why do people assimilate at all?
What?
Yeah, see, you add that's when they say you're adding logic. I'm gonna tell you, and you know what you're doing, but you do it subconsciously.
So he was honest earlier. He has a heavy bias.
I'm not saying he's lying. I'm not saying he's lying.
And he's having trouble.
No, he's a pontificator. The nigga has named himself, and then y'all be asking like, why some things?
Yeah, he's arguing with himself and putting it on us.
He's trying to iron this out himself. Y'all think he arguing with y'all? He's not really arguing with y'all. In order for Logic to understand the literature, I hate speaking for you, Logic, but in order for Logic to understand the literature, he can't really move forward in the literature and kind of grasp the whole thing if he don't kind of know what the other part is. Maybe that even Akbar ain't saying. So I understand fully that he was doing that in the classroom when he was like, well, yeah, he said this, but what about you know, then what is his answer?
But anybody can take away from what someone may deem as a complete work. If I say I come out with a complete work, A to Z, someone can shoot holes through it and question all parts of it. Does that mean it's not a complete work? In their eyes, yes. In my eyes, no, it doesn't mean it's not a complete work. Or it could be either or. So if I think that's why the Firepit was good, because it allowed us to slow walk some of this stuff instead of looking at one big ass picture and then go, well, that ain't right. And that's easy to find why it ain't right. But if we slow walk it, we can understand some of these people better, some of his points better. So if we slow walk it, let's keep slow walking.
Can I add a piece
and then not jump all the way to the general?
Is it not slow walking for me to ask, how do you get from alien identity to we need to be more African? Is that not walking slow enough?
It didn't say, I don't know where it says African. I'm still looking. Hold on.
Elijah, this is important too. Let's also remember we read 14 pages of a book. Like, we didn't read the book. We read 14 pages inside of the book. Yeah, like a section of a book. We didn't even read a full chapter. I don't even know if that was the full chapter. So let's not try to look for some clarity in 14 pages. If you want the clarity truly that you're looking for, you might read the rest of the book.
Read the whole book.
Yeah, read the rest of the book. You're not gonna get it. You're not gonna get his whole explanation of it from just 14 pages. And we're trying to explain it as if we're him. We're not him. So let him, like, he wrote a full book where he's going to explain it. You know, but I challenge you to read it, but I don't think you don't agree with the work. That's another part too. Like, if you don't really agree with the work, or you don't agree with the theory, it might be hard to it might be difficult for you to get through.
There's some stuff in there. There's definitely some stuff in there I agree with. I agree that you gotta identify the biases within the system. You definitely have to do that.
Yeah, but you don't think the solution is to somehow go back to some African identity. I know that for a fact. You're always going to be in conflict with a person telling you identify with Africa. That's the solution. You've been.
I think at this point, I'm really trying to pose the question of how can you have clearly defined this is not the kind of behavior, and not necessarily be clear about what the real behavior is. Like if the only thing that you say is it has to benefit the collective, that's not saying a whole lot.
Are you trying to?
So let me ask you a question.
Chef, do not let me forget to ask you this question. Just go ahead.
Ask me now. Ask me now.
Okay.
Ask me now.
We got to about 4 pages.
Mm-hmm.
I read the whole thing. You read the whole thing. What was the part in your mind that you wanted him to get to that we didn't get to? Because I don't think we're going back to these 14 pages. I think we're moving forward. So I think we might maybe us finish out the 14 pages too. Because we only got to about 5 pages. But what was the part? Was it just the beginning you was excited about, or was it?
No, it was the whole.
You was excited about.
It was definitely a lot of parts in it. But I didn't want to do a separate show without him. You dig what I'm saying? Because this was, right, his piece. But it was definitely some things that stood out to me, and it could just be personal. You know how everybody is a little bit different, right?
Right. That's all I'm asking you though.
Yeah, it be things that might jump out to you, right, that I could brush on by, but it was certain things. Is questioning our whole sanity piece and the sanity of the dominant society, right? Like that's super interesting to me. For some reason, I don't know why. Like, it's like there's something there. Right? There's something there, like, and that's why the alien self-disorder, after you read the first part, it jumps out to you, because when he starts off, he talks about how if the dominant society is racist, right? And your sanity is judged on their insanity is what is called sanity.
Mm-hmm.
And any type of aversion you have to that makes you insane.
Mm-hmm.
That right there, even if the nigga lying, right? Even if somebody can disagree with that, but just that whole questioning around it is a mental exercise. You dig what I'm saying? That's super deep to me. It just sticks out to me.
I think what I was looking for was more, and maybe in the book, what's the consequences of that? How did that affect people? How did that affect them?
Those four
disorders. No. What I'm saying is, if you're more likely, compared to Western or European sanity to be insane, how does that affect the rest of your life? How does that affect how they deal with you going forward? Not just the name calling you or classifying you. How did that affect your life? Not even the organic disorders. Like as you go through life to try to earn a living, try to raise your family.
You can be fine externally. You can be fine externally, right? You can get on in this society, acquiescing to the dominant society's norms and mores, right? You can get along. You can do well. You can be affluent in it, right?
Until what? Hold on. Until what?
Until nothing.
Until you don't.
That's what this is saying. He never gets into that part about.
Yeah. Until what?
Like what's supposed to happen
until you do something?
Alien self-disorder. Then what? Okay, I got alien self-disorder, and this is what I practice. Now what? Am I about to die? Am I gonna have a?
Is my people gonna disown me?
Right.
No, hold on. It's my family. It's and I don't mean implications as far as us, but how it was. Let's just use law. How something like that could be codified into law back. That black or into police training. When you're dealing with African Americans, they're known to be aggressive, a little off in the head. They're always angry. If you're dealing with African American women, they're loud. They're abrasive. And that's later on. So these things get built into. Okay, if you go to get a loan, I ain't talking about now. We're talking about a little further back, maybe around his era, like Steph said, maybe 10, 15 years prior to that. Well, you're more likely not to hold the job. You're more likely to fuck this loan up. You're not stable. And I'm not saying outright, oh, you're insane. You're not insane. But just little implications and things that end up being built into a system, or a better word is a narrative. A narrative about black people that probably persists to today. And then even to the point when we look at each other, what was that one called in there? When we just is it the alien one? Where you look at black people, you go, we hate them.
No, that's the
Chris Rock said. Which one was it? I gotta look.
Can I push back?
Hey, I love black people, but I hate niggas.
Yeah, I love black people.
Can I push back? Can I push back, please? Because what we're losing here is one fundamental thing. When we hear alien self-disorder, many of us in this room automatically think that he's discussing a black people issue. But if you think about it, he's discussing a societal issue. Alien self-disorder is not limited to race. It's group dynamics. That means if you have a group, let's say you have a state like Nebraska, who depend fundamentally on subsidies for survival, for schools, for everything, and those people go against their best interests. Let's say it was a mixed state. That's also alien self-disorder. So you trying to bring it back to Africa has nothing to do with the original theory. He's talking about a dominant society. No, we know that in this society, the dominant society is white. So that's why we're bouncing that disorder against the wall of white people. But it's an actual disorder where people, out of them cotton picking mind for the white person, and out of them Negro mind for the black person. Because black people say to them children, you are out of your Negro mind. Because as a Negro, as a black person, you should be thinking a certain way. But the white person would say to you, the slave, you're out of your cotton picking mind, because in his eyes, you should be thinking a particular way. The Negro mind and the cotton picking mind is two different minds. But we're limiting this disorder just to a group of people when it can be applied to white people also in the dominant society, the poor trailer park people who vote against the best interest. Do not look at it. Do not try to minimize the disorder to a particular race or a particular group. It can be expounded up and down.
No, we agree.
Yeah, but his paper is about African Americans.
Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't read the full thing, so I can't make that assumption.
Yeah, it's two P's. It's two P's. The other point is the reason why I said we need to read the whole thing is because I think we're making a lot of assumptions, but we ain't read the other 200-300 pages.
Yeah.
That's it. But then the other part.
Yeah, but
no, it's two P's. Stay right there. I'm not. Let me switch my point. I'm not saying that you're incorrect. This isn't a pushback to your point. In the 14 pages that I read, the reason why I'm not bringing up white people per se, and this might sound crazy to y'all, is because in his mind, based on his writings at the time, and I'm also, I want to be anachronistic, he wrote it during that time. White people are insane because he says white mental health. He doesn't say particular white people. He doesn't say some white people. He says white mental health is insane. Like it's the white part. So the reason why we're not talking about the white mental health is because in these 14 pages we read, he already classified what he thought white mental health was. He thought their whole mindset was a disorder as the dominant group. So we don't have to, that's why we're not bringing it up. I don't want you to think we're being exclusionary. The reason why Logic brought up Africa was because he began to talk about, that's why I was bringing up in the class, that we need to have more of a, in the ontogenetic conversation, we need to have a more, we need to rationalize our own mind. And then like you said, but don't be a me Negro to solve your problem. Because when you're a me Negro and you only solve your problem, you're being detrimental to the collective. What we need to do is figure out what it is that we need to do. And then we all need to do it to help serve each other. And that's why I was a little lost, but we couldn't really go into it during the class.
Let me add to what Brad said real quick. I'm going to just read this little sentence. The tendency has been to justify and explain the behavior of the victims of such insanity. He's talking about African on the basis of the assumed sanity of the victimizers and the context of the victimizers. So again, the tendency has been to justify and explain our behavior.
Right. The part I wanted to point out, probably unpopular, right? But based on the definition that we've been given, right? Like if we using just slavery and oppression as kind of like that's enough to deem a person or a whole people group insane, who wouldn't be insane?
I don't get what you. I'm trying.
Well, I'm saying.
What if you add power to that?
He's using the fact that the dominant group.
What if you add power to that insanity? Because you're making it seem like both groups are equally insane. So what's not that you're saying what's the big deal? But they're equally insane. Go ahead.
Can I explain?
I'm saying I didn't understand his original point. I didn't understand his original point.
My original point is basically he's saying that since they decide to oppress other people, that would make them insane, right? Even if you go on to add the slave trade, so on and so forth. I'm saying if that is the requirement, right, and you look at human history, who wouldn't be insane, right? Like who would be beyond this threshold of oppression people and all this kind of stuff?
No, but that's not the insanity he's discussing. What he's saying is that, listen, you understand that the victimizer is always more powerful than the victim. It's one way of saying that I've always said that history is written by the victors. So the victor was always able to write the narrative on how the losers appear. And what he's saying for this particular situation is that the victor or the victimizer now set the ground rule of how the victim should see himself. And if the victim don't see himself that way, there must be something wrong with the victim, because he can set the rule, right? He's setting the rules. And if you go against the rules that he has set, the problem must be with you and not with the rules that he has set. That's what he's saying. And it proves true today. It's proved true today.
But I think y'all talking past each other.
I think we are talking past each other. I'm literally addressing like the first paragraph, right? The African American has been a victim of oppression, physical and mental planes. You know, we got it in front of us, right? So I'm saying that based on that, any form of assimilation would have to fall under the same definitions, right? And because I asked the question earlier, I don't know if nobody really understood it, but I was saying, like, you would basically be saying any form of assimilation would be insanity, right? Because that's what he literally describes them as coping mechanisms, right? He's describing your assimilation as you coping with oppression. That's how he's describing it.
But
I don't know about all that.
All right,
let's read it again.
Hold on. He did have one answer to one of Elijah's questions earlier. Just let me read what he wrote. Until African Americans are able to effectively define what is normal for our communities, we remain as subjects to the alien authority. So even he didn't define what was normal, because he's saying we have yet to do that. Okay. But you said, how do you come up with a point if you have no baseline? If one point is you are, let's go back to self-destructive. Let's see. Victims of self-destructive disorders are the most, I'm trying to find out. This group is typified by, dopes, pitchers, the pushers and all that.
Money, right?
But that's a different disorder.
I'm just saying.
Don't convolute the two.
If hold on, if the name is anti, what does that signify? If I start off with I'm anti,
if there's a pro,
no, listen, I'm anti racing cars. That means there's a racing car that exists already. I'm against that. You can't be against something that don't exist or that you not clarifying in the statement anti. Once you put the whatever descriptor, but hold on, what I'm saying.
Which disorder are we arguing?
We can't cut each other
Which
off.
disorder are we arguing?
That's what I'm saying. If the one says anti-self disorder, so what would be the baseline for that? If logic is saying, well, how do we know what normal self is? Well, what do human beings do? Food, clothing, shelter, survival, procreate. Like, again, that's certain things we don't need, maybe thrive even or live. But I don't think we need a baseline on what some general survival is or what is against your survival or your group survival. Like, if it's anti that, then okay, he described that. So that would be the baseline in some of these the alien self disorder. That one, obviously, alien self outside of yourself.
But
acting outside of yourself.
You're arguing two different disorders. Which one we're arguing now? Which one?
No, I'm talking about a baseline to any of them. A baseline. Like, what are they based on? What would be normal? I think that's what Logic asked earlier.
Normality is what I'm saying. Yes, what would be normal, right?
Okay.
Normality is
normal.
One mic.
Normality is always determined by the group. It has to be. It can't be an individual. It's a group dynamics. When we talk about normal behavior, we're talking about within a group. Even like if you look at traditional hairstyles, it's determined by the group. And anything that appears to be non-traditional is going to be deemed as abnormal. It's like fashion and style. Fashion is a group dynamic. Like Jordans are fashionable. But style is an individual now building his own sneakers to suit his own need. No, group dynamic determine normal. Sometimes style break out and become fashion.
But we're talking about the disorders in the article. We're talking about the article.
In this particular instance, the person who is identifying what's normal isn't the group. It's not.
No, but he said
the large group determined what was normal.
But I get his point right there, though. I do get his now. Now I think I'm trying to spend more time rather than answer his question than trying to understand his question. But I do understand his point right there because he's saying we're talking about what's best for the group, but in actuality, in order to accept this, we'd have to accept what he thinks, not necessarily what the group is thinking. We got to accept what Naeem Akbar is thinking is what's best for the group. Not no populace, not no majority, no nothing.
Exactly.
What was his suggestion?
What about the other people who determined what was best for the group?
What was his suggestion?
I don't know. I'm just saying that's what I think.
Okay.
Yeah, in this particular instance,
it was already determined what was best for you. That's what he's saying.
Logic, please. Logic. What did he say? What did he suggest was best for the group?
He's saying that we got to get away from these Western models of behavior, right? That we can't like compare ourselves to middle class America, basically.
White
and the reason why is because it's antithetical to the group.
Okay. But
y'all taking it out of
he just made a suggestion. He just made a suggestion. He did not determine what was best for the group. He suggested that we need to get away from Western mindset. He did not say what mindset we must develop. So he cannot say that he made us. He was determined that was good for the group. He made a suggestion. He never determined what was good for the group.
See, this is where I want to jump ahead again. We acting like he don't talk about my. But I'm just gonna let y'all answer now because now I want to go off the page.
That's why I asked what he suggested, and you give limited information. All right, go ahead.
Hey, Logic, you know what's crazy though? So I was waiting on you to say the words "mayat," right?
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why I went to Wade Nobles when he started talking about ontogenetics is because that's the balance that he is actually talking about. That he was kind of leaning towards was a sort of mayat type balance, more African centered. So when you go into the other readings, when he starts talking about what we should do, he mentions it a little bit, but I think I don't want to make, crazy judgments based on, we didn't read the book yet. You just read this. But when you do kind of do a little bit of research, he does, Wade Nobles, with the ontogenetics, does start talking about imbalance and African balance, a mayat balance. He does start talking about that. So I was kind of waiting on you to see if maybe that's where you went on some Kemet type stuff. But when he quoted Nobles, he was kind of talking about that.
Yeah, maybe I'm doing too much as far as that, but I'm also trying to get everybody to be like, okay, so how do we get from alien self and self-destructive disorder to my? How is that the backdrop of how we're supposed to act? Right? We understand how he gets to the backdrop how we're not supposed to act, but how does he get there? But that's my conversation. Maybe not necessarily everybody.
No, I challenge you to read the rest of it. I know I keep saying the same thing over and over again.
No, I'm into it.
But the man he wrote a full book, and we're diagnosing the whole book off of 14 pages. And I don't. Well, I may think he's pseudo. I may not agree. I think using disorder. I think one of the reasons that this is actually problematic, for me at least, is when you use the word disorder. Now I see the dangers of using the word disorder because we're acting like this is cancer, like this exists. We can agree, like me and Chef both agree alien self-disorder is a real thing. But there is a benefit to something being diagnosable. That means they put it through some trials and this, that, and the other to see what could work. But I would assume with any diagnosis, when you do it, you'd also have to determine what is the damn solution to alien self-disorder too. And you can't go to a medical board or any kind of psychiatry, I think, talking about my eye and all of that. I don't think you can do that. So, you know, I think we got a lot to do, but read the rest of the book though.
Okay, but in the article,
homosexuals and all
that's fair.
Shit.
Yeah, but in the article, he says any type of classification should be not only descriptive and orderly, but functional. In the case of identifying pathology, the classification system should be able to isolate the dangerous conditions. It should suggest the origins of that conditions, and it should contain implications for correcting that condition. Just what you said, Brad. So he deals with some of what we're talking about in the summary. It's right in the summary. You know, he starts off the summary. What is the point of this? What is the point of another classification system for mental disorders? Obviously, he didn't make up the term disorder or
I don't know if y'all can still hear his, but he went out.
My bad. It went out. The summary. He answers a lot of things in the summary that we're talking about now, and where this could lead. You know, not saying what's missing out of it. Let's see. And he looks at it. Mental disorder is a social, political, economic, philosophical, even spiritual phenomenon. So we do ourselves a disservice to let psychiatrists, psychologists, and other so-called specialists from other cultural persuasions define mentally disordered. So in his summary, he talks about some of these things.
Right, and somewhere in there, he speaks about those scientists. It's like some of them take the allegiance of like they prefer their academic accolades, or their academic recognition. I think that's what he used.
Credibility or something like that.
Yeah, credibility. You're right. That's the word.
Credibility.
Yeah, credibility. He was saying that they would prefer their credibility over benefiting the group. Now, for me, I get what he means, right? At least I think I do. But to me it opens the door too far for me to say, like, why should I, why would I incorporate Western ideas into this, or why would I allow Western institutions to build on top of this, right? Like it basically is saying that you can't trust them, so we have to we have to take control, right? We can't allow them to do it. That's basically what he's saying. Would you disagree with that? Because like that would be the ultimate road as far as getting into institutional funding.
Well, he spoke to politicians. He spoke about politicians who join any faction in order to further their careers. They are elected leaders who are more committed to the system than to their constituency. The African American scholars, that's what you said, who are more concerned about scientific credibility than about community facility. Businessmen who are more concerned about their own economic solvency than they are about the communities from which they came. The educators, administrators. Yeah, he went through a few groups.
No, I'm trying to get you to walk through this idea with me, right? Because if you're mentioning scholars who would prefer their credibility in academia, right? Are you discrediting bringing your ideas to academia yourself, right? Like to me, that's like a condemnation of the whole thing.
Not
you're basically completely.
He says more concerned. More. He said more.
Logic.
He said more concerned about credibility than about community facility. It says more concerned.
let's look at the timeline. When was this book written? What year?
In the 70s.
What year was it? Was written in the 70s.
Something like that, 70s, 80s. I'll look.
Can I ask a quick question? How often is these Dr. Akbar review class going to be? Is it every week?
It's every Tuesday, but I'm gonna try to get him to finish the first 14 pages. I'm gonna try to get him to finish those because I wanted to get into that freaks of nature part he was talking about. So I'm gonna see if maybe he'll throw in an extra class maybe this week just so we could finish the 14 pages. But I'll let you know. But it's every Tuesday at 9:30 Central, so 10:30 our time.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. If you need the syllabus, I could.
You chop and screw it.
Oh, where's it at? It's in this chat. It's
hits. You chopped up, brother. Hits.
Can I say one more thing?
Stop asking. Can you talk? Just talk.
When you
my bad.
If we do something like this again and go live, like for real life, and somebody can pull up like a presentation or something, I think it might be nice to have a slide or two up on the screen so people who may not be reading the books and stuff can know in the audience, they can be able to read it and know exactly what's going on. I think that'd be a good
point.
idea.
I did that today. Good point. We today at about 10 minutes in the show, I realized exactly what you realized. So we the majority of that class has the writings as the main thumbnail, and we're all at the bottom, so that the people watching the video can follow what we're reading. And then from this point, I think what we'll do is do these in a stage stage Sister Saka, so that we could just put on the screen what he's talking. You know what I'm saying? Like a slide type of thing. He could just slide pause to the next thing. And then,
but even
like
for the after shows, just do like a because the after shows can kind of be structured like whatever wasn't covered in class. We can just pick it in the after show and then put
You're right. I
and anybody could start that. Anybody, if they want a stage in a particular room, a stage is basically it has one host and people have to raise their hands. So if somebody wants a stage channel in a room, just let me know. I'll put one in there. But I was saying Mujasi has a syllabus. It's in his chat, in his voice channel in the Firepit. If you go to the voice channel and you go to the chat, he has the whole syllabus in there for what we're gonna be doing every Tuesday. It's different. So, but if anybody wants to start a group afterwards, after show, let me know. I'll make a room and you can host, whoever can host it. And that's the only difference with a stage. It's just people have to raise their hand. And it only has like one host, I guess. So just let me know.
I wanted to. Did anybody find that freak of nature part interesting? I did. Anybody know what I'm talking about? It was towards the end. It was when he started talking about that psychology was saying. That's how I was kind of asking Chef. The freak accidents of biology, like the mentally ill and the disabled and the senile, that he was saying that these come from oppression rather than just like a person can be born with like a developmental issue. Did y'all read that part?
Okay, I'll just read the first sentence. There's growing evidence that freaks of nature may be freaks of society. Each year, scientists are increasingly able to isolate the effects of tobacco, commonly dispensed drugs, alcohol, and diet on the unborn offspring. The responsibility for life seems to extend far beyond individual survival, but for the generation ahead. I'm trying to speak bigger point on that. The point is that organic disorder may be the outcome, I think I read it earlier, of a disordered society.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting with how he did it. It's just one of the things Akbar does to me is, and I'm probably not qualified to say it, but he Sister Saba, correct me if I'm wrong. He tends to go the all route. You know what I mean? Like where like it's the all, like even with the disorders. I think you have a difficult time when you try to press yourself into one of those disorders. When there are people that probably can run a little bit of all of them at different times. You know what I mean? Like there are parts of the alien self disorder I think if I was self-diagnosing, I would say. But I think there's parts of the self-destructive one that I got, right? And there's the part, there are some, I'm a Chris Rock type person. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? I'm not just talking to myself. Like, I think some of the Chris Rock part is with me. I don't like, I love black people. I hate niggas. So in the same token, like I got a little bit of those three. I forgot the last one. Was, but I know those three. I know I definitely
organic.
Like, yeah, you do things to cope, whiskey and cigars and shit like that to kind of deal with certain shit or shit that's on your mind or this, that, and the other. I don't know. I think I would be, what conversations I'd like to see hits? I would like to see the conversations they had when he presented this to somebody for some passage to the greater public. Like, I wonder what they said to him. Like, what did they say? Like, what were their opinions? What were qualified psychologists? What were their opinions on, what he's talking about?
You could probably look up interviews. You could probably look up anything from the 70s, like periodicals, newspapers, magazine articles on the internet. You'd have to do a search, stuff like that. But I'm sure you see him in interviews, getting some pushback somewhere. So it just takes some research. Again, we just took a section out of his book and went over it and did some discussion on it. So, it's not the whole kit and caboodle. And I think that's the hard part for us to hold the tiger back. Like, we want to talk about the whole thing. And we just, we concentrated on a small part of
it. Yeah, I think we would be, like I said, I think we'd be doing it a disservice if we, maybe he does talk about it in the rest of the book, but I don't want to make a book assumption on 14 pages. And I haven't read hardly any of his stuff. I can safely say that it's pseudoscience, but it's pseudoscience that resonates. It definitely resonates because I could see the examples, but the disorder language, the more I kept reading, the disorder language started bothering me just a little bit.
Yeah, I think somewhere in there he kind of relates those disorders to schizophrenia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he said an order like schizophrenia or disorder like schizophrenia.
Right. Yeah, he's saying in the Western models we basically would call it this, schizophrenia. That's what I got out. Maybe I read it wrong.
No, you didn't. That's the freaks of biology, because he starts talking about how freak accidents of biology, mentally ill, disabled, and senile. But he starts saying that there are no freak natures of biology. There are no freak accidents. Everything is oppression and racism. What looks like random biology may actually be society's fault. That these things are coming out as trauma. The trauma is reflecting in the health. Now, which is partly true, but I don't think somebody born with a delay or a defective issue. I don't know. He's very good at living in the margins to make you ask some questions. I think everybody in here should participate in that class, because it does challenge your beliefs. But it kind of reaffirmed a few of my beliefs, because that disorder part, it really makes me uncomfortable after a while. Because you really gotta do the all and really kind of hold steadfast to some of this in order for it to make sense. To start saying that senility and stuff like that is oppression and racism, then now what happens is you get a situation where, I mean, what isn't alien self, what isn't a disorder, and what isn't racism, what isn't oppression. And now I kind of see what Chef was saying before. You get into a situation of like, well, damn, if that's oppression, then every fucking thing is oppression. And now you got to run into a situation where let's just give up. Because you ain't never going to win. It does become hopeless after a while.
But I don't think that's his goal, is to give hopelessness. It seems like it's another point of view, because if you don't look at it from another point of view, and again, we're jumping out of our skin in the time frame. This is not 2025 reading we're doing.
Right.
In 2025 circumstance.
Right.
So, at that time, and he wrote, the question of emotional disturbance among African Americans has been one of the most frequently addressed issues among many Jewish American and African American social scientists. Clark, Figelman, Greer, Cobb, Gardner. The preoccupation with the lack of mental health among African Americans has not only presented a distorted image of the African American descent, but has failed to address the real problems and substantial constituent of the American. So, again, one of those tangible results could be your needs don't get met. Your needs don't get recognized. So, ongoing.
Well, I think we're going to have some fun when we get to that part of the discussion, because I believe that oppression definitely can have some developmental effects, oppression and racism. You're talking about personality problems or issues, cognitive issues, social skills, all that stuff. That's going to be a fun conversation.
Okay.
It doesn't sound fun. That don't sound fun.
No, it sounds like a threat. That was a veiled threat. It was a.
Sounds like some bad news.
You know what I mean? I'm sure it can be some.
I know, man. Sounds like some bad news is headed our way here.
You ever seen the Saw movies? When the Saw clowns say, "Let's have some fun," come into my parlor. That's kind of like what it sounds like.
Well, sound like fun at all.
No, some nice dialogue about it.
What'd you say?
We're gonna have some nice discussion.
Yes. Can I ask a question to the room and see how many people actually agree or disagree that white people, I guess, oppression, does it fall inside or outside of the normal human behavior? Would we generally consider it insane today?
All right, say that again. Say that again, bro.
I was saying, would we view colonialism as insane today? Like, would we still have that same particular outlook on it?
I'm sure some of us look crazy today to a sector of the populace. But see, Logic, that goes back to your question. Now I understand your question, it's like when Corey get up and go to the concrete site, pour concrete, and he complains about the data centers and the corporate oligarchs and the billionaires and this, that, and the other, but he's on a corporate site, he's on a concrete site right now building one of those data centers. Is that his alien self, or is that the man trying to feed his family and pay his bills? Or is that colonialism, or is that capitalism?
Is fighting colonialism? Hold on. Is fighting colonialism a human nature too? Is fighting oppression also a human function?
I don't know.
Yes. I'm gonna say yes.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm gonna say, ironically, it all fits under the spectrum of human behavior. The good,
but now we being too general. We trying to narrow it down.
We're trying to narrow it down
to some conversation.
No, but maybe I'm trying to emphasize my earlier point because how I don't even understand how y'all move forward after the question, right? Like, how do you establish what the initial position is to say that it's now off? How do you do that?
Because of
No. Hold on. No. You got to be more specific. You got to pick a point because that's way too general. I think that's what we're doing. We're asking way general questions and we're getting answers that are.
Well, let me be more specific, right? How do you?
I accept this question.
Well, you do, but some of us want a more pointy question.
Yeah, but can you explain it to me? Hold on, Logic. Can you explain it to me? Hold on, wait. Explain it to me, Chef. Because I don't understand the question. So how did you get it? Now I'm confused.
Because he's asking about the premise in general. He's saying if we're off, then what is our base mental state? If white people mental state ain't our base mental state, then you have to tell me what my base mental state is.
Okay.
That's what Logic is saying.
I don't know why Logic couldn't just say that. But
Logic don't never say nothing right.
I don't know if Logic could just.
I wish I could have just said it just like that, but that's exactly what I'm saying. Yes. Okay. How do you get this baseline?
What is the base human nature? On what book? Because some people would say Christianity, being a Christian. Some people would say just being a good human being. But what is that? What is the baseline? What is the baseline to say that we're off? That's a good question.
It's too general for the discussion we're having about just say the article or even the book. He's talking about a particular group in a particular place. Logic is taking this to global because then anybody can go.
He not.
I think he's making a good point.
So the baseline that was made in an article
for African Americans, hits. Not for everybody. For African Americans, what is our base mental medium? Like, what is for African Americans? That's what he asking. If it's not white people shit and we're off, then what is the base mental stability for black people?
Well, how would we know that?
How would we know that?
One mic.
Sorry.
But no, guys, this is Safa, then go ahead.
How would we know what the baseline is if we're making a case that we've been over here and, we've been stolen, stripped of our knowledge, religion, all that good stuff like that. So how would we even know what our baseline is to compare it to someone else? And then also, if you're going back far enough, and if you want to say our baseline is what our ancestors was doing when they kidnapped us and sold us to the oppressor in the first place, I think Logic makes a good point. What exactly is the baseline that we're talking about?
Exactly, right? When did Africans become sane, right? If that's what's insane, when did they get sane?
What?
What? Chef, explain that part too. Say that again.
You just go ahead and see this. No, just like what Sister Safa said, right? You look at our position before colonialism, and if you're trying to use that as a baseline, right, you still wouldn't describe that as like some people who don't have war, don't have disputes. You know what I'm saying? So you can't. And based on what he said, right, people who act like that are out of their mind. They're insane. So that's why I made the joke. I said, okay, so when did the African become sane? Because they ain't never acted like that.
Oh, so you saying Africans were insane before Europeans?
I'm saying I'm comparing their behavior to the colonialization that he's calling insane. If he's calling this colonialization insane, well, what happened in Africa, in colonial Africa?
Oh, wait, are you trying to say, wait, real quick. This is fun trying to figure out what the hell you're saying. This is hilarious, but it's kind of fun. So are you saying that we're calling, white people insane and that they're trying to classify us as insane? But are you saying that we was no better? Okay, before them, are you saying that we were essentially them? Like we essentially did the same thing?
Not one for one, but yes. Right. We also would.
We exhibited the same shit. So if we were
we also did all that stuff.
Right. So
we was also
insane. Sane in the first place. We were just doing it to ourselves. But now we're saying it's insane because white people are doing it to us.
Nah, we was doing it to hunter-gatherers.
No. This is a question. It's just a question. And then go and come into it, Freddie. Because we're trying to establish
the baseline. I'm about to go on mute for a while, but yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, go ahead, Freddie. I ain't think that's what you were saying, brother. I did not think that's what you were saying. But go ahead, Freddie. You said we was doing what to hunter-gatherers?
Well, the fact that when you see a lot of these things, it's a human thing that's echoed through different cultures of history, and the form of what they doing of colonialism is different, but the sole purpose of a group implementing whatever they want on a group they deem more inferior. You can see that even in Africa before the white man even came into the scene for real, because the Bantu expanded. That's why I keep talking about it, like hunter-gatherers. When our ancestors was agriculturalists, nigga, we made them hunter-gatherers assimilate to what we did. And even though it wasn't the same way of colonialism how we would see it now, they lifestyle still changed, and they had to adjust to, to the overall group and assimilating to what they want to do. So when you look at just history overall, I see what he's saying. But our situation is unique at the same time. So I see all different perspectives.
So trying to remove yourself from oppression and degradation and torture and all of these things is also human and common also, right?
Yeah. I think so.
Okay. No, I wasn't answering nobody in particular. I was just
but I never looked at it the way Logic looked at it though. If we're calling them savages, then what did we call what we was? I mean, I don't know what we were doing in Africa, but I'm assuming Logic must know. But if we were doing the same thing to each other in Africa, then technically we've never been sane. We're complaining that they putting us here in this continent in an insane position. But in actuality, shit, we was doing the same thing. We're no better.
I don't think nothing in this article is about who's better than who. I think it's how people deal.
No, I don't mean literally.
Well, you understand what I'm saying, right? That's what it sounds like. Who the pot calling the kettle white or shit like that. I don't think that's what the article is about. I think he's talking about African Americans and in a current situation, not current, but at that time, situation. Again, I don't know what the rest of the book says.
But he's speaking on the after effect of the oppression and what that entails. So yeah.
But it gets a little dangerous though, because when you say after effects of the oppression, now here's the pushback. That's why I wanted to get into that freak of accident biology, because there's parts of the book where he starts talking about even if you're black babies born with any form of defects, even that, before they've even faced oppression, just the oppression and the feelings that their parents have gotten would cause the child to be born with defects.
He's actually making a genetic and environmental feedback loop argument.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's very interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's
and too at the time, he's dealing with what science, what evidence that's out at the time. Again, we can't superimpose current knowledge and information.
In regards to that, I mean, they got research coming out to show epigenetic effects, so they trying to pinpoint certain things that affects offspring based off oppression and shit like that. So shit, that's why I'm feeling like I made a lot of statements that might have sounded crazy then, but
maybe he's ahead of his time. Yeah, like I said, you know what? I will say this. I'm gonna treat this like how I treat Kanye West.
You gonna buy the album?
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely buy the album. But then too, it's polarizing. We're supposed to have these kinds of conversations. That's why it doesn't suit us to be arguing with each other over our points of views on these conversations, because work like this polarizing. It ain't supposed to make you feel one way or the other. It's supposed to make you feel. That's what I think about Kanye. A lot of times people get caught up with Kanye and they saying, well, I feel like this or I feel like that. But when the man himself will tell you, when he makes his music, it's just to make you feel something, right? You're not supposed, if you felt nothing, then he didn't do his job. If you didn't vehemently hate the music, he didn't do his job. If he didn't vehemently love the music, he didn't do his job. To me, that's good content. That's in his honest content.
I don't believe.
No, I'm not. This is my shit.
No, I'm just saying that's my opinion. I don't believe him.
Yeah, this is my shit. Yeah, I'm not saying that. Yeah, I know that there are people in content that, and just in life, they don't care what you say about them, as long as you say something.
Saying something.
Yeah, they don't give a damn if you love them, like them, or anything like that. Their frustration, especially in media, is shit. I can't get nobody to talk about me at all. So you feel
it's increasingly difficult. Yeah, it's getting more and more difficult.
You know who that reminds me of? You're not into sports, but that's to me that's the Cowboys owner. I don't think there are times when he does things where I clearly know he just wants to make sure that the world is talking about the Cowboys right now. It ain't got nothing to do with them being better. It ain't got nothing to do with them being a good team or anything like that. He just wants to make sure that on SportsCenter, the Cowboys will always be a topic of conversation. Like when you see how he drags out these contract negotiations for years and years. Because when a team ain't good, you shouldn't be talking about them. But the whole world just talks about that. LeBron does that shit. He'll show up in a workout at a Clippers, what's the name, and be talking about, yeah, y'all know, I'm playing for the Lakers, but you know what the picture gonna do. Come on, bro. The whole world
I know
for the next 3 weeks, whether you want to go to the Clippers or, you know what I'm saying? Shit like that. Like he's a master media kind of guy.
I know everybody hates him right now, but that's the same shit the Young Thug just said.
Yeah.
That's why I believe that. I believe that all the leaks and bullshit. I really do believe it was a fucking rollout, and if it is, that nigga's a genius.
Yeah, it's a rollout for an album. Yeah, artists.
I don't want to change the subject.
Yeah, artists do that shit all the time. All of a sudden, you'll see them in like some kind of major media issue, and lo and behold, 2 weeks later, they'd be like, "Yo, did you hear what Noriega said?" 2 weeks later, album dropping September 23rd, nigga. Because they just want to get you talking about it.
That nigga said he don't care if niggas love him or hate him. He just want niggas talking about it. That's what nigga just said.
Yeah. So, polarizing is good. Too much polarizing is irritating, though. It becomes problematic. But yeah, I appreciate this work. I still think he's a pseudo. That ain't gonna change. But I definitely I wish he would have at least attempted to take this the whole way. And I don't know why he didn't. I ain't gonna knock him for not doing it, but I wish he did. Because some people, some of these disorders, if he could have gotten it through as a disorder, it would have been very helpful in society. For us specifically, Black people. But I also recognize 2Ps when he says it's a human disorder. It's a human thing. Definitely a human thing. No question.
The thing about it, Brass, if he took race out of all of what he said and just the fundamental thought that he had, you could see it being applied across the board.
Yes.
Because it's not nonsensical. It could be applied at one, especially the anti-self, the next disorder that comes after this one. We see it happening. We see when people matriculate up to the class that they were not born at, meaning that let's somebody was in a lower class and they matriculate up to the upper class. The behaviors, what he's actually doing is describing behaviors, right? He's actually describing. There's nothing new that he's writing there or no. There's nothing new. We just rephrase it other ways. People have always been thinking this way. As I said, when the slave owner said to the slave, you're out of your cotton picking mind, or when one Black person said to another Black person, you're out of your Negro mind, that's what he's describing. But he's more articulate. It's like when I say something and Mujasi said the same thing. It sounds like literature coming from Mujasi. But I know that he's saying the same thing that I'm saying. But he's articulate. And he's going about doing his things. Like, after he gets into the self-destructive one now, and you start seeing that look like anti-homosexual, that he's gay bashing, he's a black man of his time. And he holds the same presidents. He's holding the same thinking of a black man of his time who said that there are black people out there who goes against their people, who when they aspire to a certain level, they forget the people, and gay people are bad. But just think about it as a black grandfather. Get in him head and look and think. He thinks like your black grandfather. He's not saying anything that you have not heard from your black grandfather. He's just more articulate.
Yeah, more scientific. Yeah, I would agree with that part. The more scientific. But I'll say this to you, those two pieces. What was interesting, right? And I hate to get into the political part, but let's have a little bit of the political conversation. Now, you know how you say, people will say they don't know why I would vote this, that, and the other. You know why I don't argue why I would vote Trump, right? Because it's against black interests. You know, I don't argue with Trump. No. Let me finish. Because you don't know what I'm about to say. Yeah. I don't argue 100% with y'all because you know what I can't understand for the life of me? Why an illegal immigrant or a person that isn't fully a naturalized citizen would vote for someone that's telling you he's going to deport you. And not only vote for a person that's telling you he's going to deport you and your family, like physically take them out of the United States. Something tangible, not a bill, not a policy you got to read into. Like physically say, I'm gonna get your friend, your grandmother, your abuela, I'm gonna get her out of here. She never got her shit right. Here's the funny part though. I don't even know if these videos are true or not, but have you seen them videos where the people is up there like singing with mariachi hats and shit?
Yeah, I will vote for Donald Trump.
I can't understand. Now that's why I say I'm not gonna yell at you. Because I can't understand that shit. I can't understand it at all, bro. I can't.
I don't understand it. Remember the whole ladder puller thing that I came up with? That's what I was talking about at the time. That's what was his name? Who was the Jamaican dude who was defending Trump? American Dream. Yeah. Right? He's a ladder puller. No, I can never understand him. I cannot understand. That's why I do not like the Supreme Court justice, the black one. What's his name? Thomas. I can't remember his name. Because he's against he's against a system that allowed him to get that seat. Because he's no Thurgood Marshall. We all know that. Thurgood Marshall owned that seat. Because they were so tired of seeing Thurgood Marshall in front of the Supreme Court that they gave him a seat.
Yeah, they said, come on back here with us, bro. We tired of you. We're sick of you.
He earned that shit. Thurgood Marshall wasn't a DEI. He earned that shit. Yeah, right? Because he proved that he was one of the best ever. So they said, listen, this legal man, we have to get him. He earned that shit. But Thomas, we know that he got it from the Republicans because he was a token Negro. Everybody know that. He got Thurgood Marshall's seat, but he's against DEI. I cannot understand that. No, that is what this doctor is talking about when he talks about the alien mind. This is what, and we have seen it in practice when the group goes against their best interests. Right? I understand why you voted for Trump. You know, I don't push back anymore because you is an economics guy. You is a money guy. You believe that, and I used it one day when he wasn't on. Somebody asked me what's the first thing I would change, and I said I would take this from brass and find a better financial situation for ourselves. Put those systems in place that would increase how we operate financially. I'm not afraid to say I stole it from you. I said it that day. I wish it was on the program to hear when I said it. I said I took it from brass. I took it to brass And I like the idea. I understand why you voted for Trump. Because you see the system that he put in place would be more beneficial towards financial development. Because the welfare, as you see, the welfare that we're getting is not the same welfare that white families
get. No, it's not.
It's not. So therefore, we can do without that and find for a better system to increase what we are what and who we are financially. You don't realize I shut my ass up because I understand why you voted for Trump. But when you ask most other black people why they voted for Trump, the first thing they say, oh, the Democrats have not done, the Democratic parties are called. Oh, what is Trump offering that is different than the Democratic Party? They don't know. That's my problem. If you're going to stand by something, let me hear why you stand by it. And when I hear why
I'm gonna give a little bit of pushback on that. Well, no, not pushback. I'm gonna add to your point. Something that maybe you understand, but maybe you just not, it's not something you think about. Most people that vote don't know why they vote for who they vote for, bro. When you study the science in and around elections, elections is mainly name recognition. That's why we keep getting Cuomo's in New York. That's why you get a George Bush Jr. That's why you get these names, Hillary Clinton. It's the names, name and face recognition. When you get into that booth and you start pressing buttons, you taking that name with you. But nobody really knows these people's policy. Most of the people that voted for Kamala, they didn't know her policy. They didn't know anything about her, other than she just wasn't Donald Trump. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what they do. Everybody does.
I understand what you're saying. But Brian, this is something that I learned. And this is something that I try when I meet people, I talk to them. We as black people, and this is unfair to us, we shouldn't have the excuse of ignorance. We cannot afford the excuse of ignorance anymore. It's unfair that they're putting this burden on black people. That why we can't benefit from ignorance like the Indians, the Chinese, the white. That don't operate in our favor. And you know that truth too. You know that.
No, yeah. I don't doubt that at all. I'm just saying, one of the things I try not to do when it comes to black people is I don't like to act like we are somehow outside of America. So when America operates as something, I try to make, you know what I mean? Like when Americans do it, I don't like to say, well, black people do this, but I also, like yesterday, I'll give a perfect example. Remember the other day when y'all was talking about the 19-year-olds and Fetty was making his point based on his experience that the 19-year-old black kid per se. But then you and Corey kind of jumped out like, shit, any 19-year-old in America.
I didn't say all, by the way.
No. I'm not saying you said all. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to make a point, counterpoint to what the point I'm trying to make of. I don't like to confuse a black 19-year-old and a white 19-year-old different color, but they probably motherfucking share shiftlessness and laziness too.
I agree, but can two things be true? Because I've heard you also say that our situation is unique. So this is where I get
unique.
Yeah.
I'm saying this is where I get confused. But
no. Let them flesh that out. What you saying, Freddie? You said I say our situation is unique. How does that apply to what?
No, I'm saying like when I bring up certain things that I see that the 19-year-old black man is uniquely going through. Like a lot of the rebuttals is that, well, that's an American problem. Why can't two things be true? It can be like the whole criminalism thing. Like, yes, that can be an American thing. We all like, those type of movies and all of that. But when you put a bigger lens to it, you can see how it can affect different communities and how different communities express what they see. So I think two things can be true. Like, you can't sit here and say that the 19-year-old black man and the shit he going through is an American thing. I mean, how far are you going to go with that if you the same person to say that we have a unique situation?
Okay. And that is why fairness don't come into play. Yeah. Because I just said we as black voters, so I have to apply the same thing. We have black men, a 19-year-old black men, don't have the liberty of carelessness like a 19-year-old white man. It's unfair. although most 19-year-olds don't have any sense, we can't afford not to have any sense because it's more detrimental to us. It can mean
other
30
groups have more buffer. Sorry to cut you off, but other groups have like buffer.
That's what I'm saying. Because a 19-year-old will get 30 years for a piece of crack, when a white 19-year-old will get probation. It's unfair. It's unfair, but it's unfair.
But we in the game. We in the game, and we got to play though.
In regards to that stat you sent yesterday, I appreciate you sending the correct stat because bro was wrong on that. But like when I saw that, 49% equates to 5 million black kids without a father. That's when you put it in that context, that's a high number. And I looked at how it's compared to, I think white people is like 19% or something like that.
Yeah, and other ones is that. But see, what happens, Fetty, with those numbers? One of the things Charlie Kirk always gets blasted for, and talking heads like Charlie Kirk, this goes back to the Garvey argument, Fetty. Now, I either think you stupid or I think you smart. If you smart, then I gotta believe you're doing this on purpose. If I can in a simple search find that the number isn't actually 70%, but that the 70% always gets said because it's it's such a splash number, then I gotta know that when you're using it, you're misusing it. You're committing misinformation and disinformation.
I agree with that. 100%.
Like
and that fucks up his overall point. He kind of messed himself up.
Destroys the point. But it's flash because it's all they really care about is the content and the views. And then what it does for me is like, well then, I mean, shit. Then I can't give you no credit at all because it is what it is. And that was my
intent. I see what you're saying.
Right. You're not trying to help. Like what you fall victim to a lot of times, Freddie? What I fall victim to? No, I'm gonna tell you. I mean, you tell us what we fall victim to. I'm gonna tell you what you fall victim to. But this is a positive thing. It's like you actually are trying to get to the root of something. You're trying to get to the root of something, to the heart of something. I just think a lot of people in that space, white, black, or otherwise, that would try to echo